Did you spot it? Did you spot that swing killing move? I'm going to play it in slow motion just to see if you did. If you didn't notice it, you soon will. And this move on the backswing makes everything so much harder if you get it wrong. But when you get it right, the swing is shorter, more efficient, and it delivers much more consistent results. Let's find out how. I am Alex Fortey and this is the Art of Simple Golf. Now today's lesson is about the backswing and how we can make it really easy. But this swing fault happens to too many of you. It even happens to good golfers, not so good golfers, older golfers, whatever. But it's easily remedied. And how did this come about? Let me tell you. I was actually just having a little practice session myself, and one of my new friends, you know who you are, we were chatting about your golf swing and things like this, and it turns out he's actually been following the Art of Simple Golf for some time, so it's been good to meet someone locally at the new club. But anyway, he does a similar swing fault to many of you, and I thought I would just share it, okay? Because there's a really simple understanding and fix for it. So what he does, and I'm not picking on him, he's thick-skinned, he's fine, but what he does, as he swings back, okay, he's trying a bit too hard to place the hands in a certain position here. The hands are trying to be placed. And what's happening is by the focus sort of being on where the hands are, the path or whatever it might be, nothing else is happening. So then, you know, he was watching turn the hips. Okay, so I got to turn the hips. So he was turning the hips, then placing the hands. But what's happening is, there's no actual core rotation. And the key fault that I was sharing with you is this. The key fault is actually the arms crossing past the chest with nothing else really moving, at least in the upper body. Why is this a bad thing? Well, it causes just out of sync movements, because from here it's like, oh, I've got to try and make a big turn, and then we're turned and we're either too deep and we're a little bit stuck, or we're just out of sync, you know? So we need to get it so the larger muscles are working for us and we're in a much more reliable movement with the hands instead of trying to place them there. Let's find out how we do it. So as we were looking from behind, the hands sort of pass over the chest, covering the logo here, right? So they're covering the logo. Then there's a turn, trying to get the hips. But all that happens is it's kind of narrow, right? And then the hands have to work much harder to get back down into the impact area. It's sort of, I mean, he hits a decent ball, but fights a bit of a hook, and the swing sort of changes from day to day a little bit too much. So we were discussing to say, okay, how can we get a bit more width? Now, it's not just about putting the hands there, okay, because what happens is the hands go there, but nothing else has occurred, because still the main fault of this, the arms crossing over the chest, is going to cause the hands going too deep. And it's fine for them to be a little bit deep, but how we get there is the most important thing. So the key feel I was getting to do is to make sure that the logo on the shirt stays there. It always stays visible, all right? And just with the left hand only, we're going to make a bit of a backswing here. So we start the momentum with the feet, and I'm going to turn the core here, all right? I'm going to turn the core, and what happens is I have not crossed that logo, because if I set back to here, I'm still in the same position, and I can do it again. I can make a backswing and I can set back in the same position. And if I do it from this way, all right, so I make my backswing and I can set it back in the same spot. If I do it incorrectly, it's going to be here, and then if I try and get back into my same position, it's across the line, or you know, across my body, and it just puts it out of sync. So the feel is to maintain the chest. Okay, so the chest is the sort of key engine here. The chest is what's turning, the core is what's winding up here. But the key feel that worked is this. Before I give you the main feel, is this resonating with you? Does this swing look a little bit familiar to you? If so, let me know. So how do we drill this in? How do we get this feel? Well, the left arm only, turning the core, right? So we're turning the chest. But the thing that really worked for him perfectly was actually to feel, which is one of my favorite moves for the backswing, all right? We talk a lot about the rib cage winding up here and the hands being the last thing to follow, all right? That was very key in this movement. But the extra sort of bit that was helping him is to perhaps not feel like the hips have to turn quite so much, because he was getting hands and then deep to try and get the turn. But the main feel was, apart from the hands not crossing the chest, all right? The hands weren't crossing the chest. We were turning as one here, but the next main feel to sort of complete the backswing was actually the right shoulder to go up just a few inches there. But it's by doing the right side. It's not with the left side being pulled over. The right side is actually pulling the left, okay? That's what's going to give us the feel. And even from the sort of halfway back position, if you will, we're trying to have as much of a sort of torso wind up as possible and minimal hand movement, okay? Because the hands have to travel a lot further by going this way. So there you have it. You can do some left only arm swings. You can do some right only swings, right arm only, okay? But no matter what, we're just trying to keep the arms a little bit straighter and they are not crossing the body. Now, you might see in other lessons to say, you know, we want the arms to go deep and then turn and tilt this way, and that's very much stack and tilt. But in my experience, that just sends people down a path where they get stuck and stuck and stuck, and then we have further to travel, okay? It's kind of an aggressive movement. It's kind of a big movement because we're having to go here, then here, then here, all right? I'm exaggerating, I know that, but I'm trying to emphasize that feeling and that movement for you, all right? So we need to try and get something that's simple, and it is that short movement, okay? So we're making a full turn with that shoulder going up just a few inches. The hands have traveled a short distance, but they have flow. And then we just reverse the movement in essence with the transition, but we won't go into that. We just want you to work on this backswing, keeping everything sort of in front, but with flow. That's the significant feeling that I want you to have. And you can practice this, all right? Just little shots at first, all right? Just little shots at first. Just see how you get on, making a turn, not letting the hands pass the logo on your shirt, and just little short swings, just tiny little diddy swings, and see how you get on, okay? That's all you need to do. Dead simple, easy golf, all right? So let me just summarize that for you. Don't let the arms cross over the chest. Then you just need to make sure that you wind up your core and the hands are the last thing that move, okay? And as long as you get to about this sort of placement, that is enough of a swing for you. Momentum will take you a little bit further, all right? But that's it, okay? Really shorten the thoughts. You don't have to think about the hands moving so far. You don't have to think about making such a big rotation. Just think about a few inches of that shoulder movement, all right? And you can practice with just the left arm if that feels good, or practice with just the right arm if that feels good. But you got it. It was working a treat for him. It's worked for hundreds of others that have had lessons, and I think it's going to help you a lot too.